Hello and welcome to the National Radio Astronomy Observatory's webinar featuring the National and International Non-Traditional Exchange Program, or NIME program for short, run by the NRAO's Office of Diversity and Inclusion. I'm Nan Janney from Education and Public Outreach, and I'll be introducing the format and moderator for today's webinar. The NIME program, just to give you a little background, the NIME program is a summer internship opportunity for national and international participants that teaches program management to young professionals in the field of radio astronomy. Today, we'll be taking questions that you can post in your chats, in our chat section, and actually in our Q&A section, not in the chat section. In fact, please don't use the chat section for any questions that you have of our participants. Today's moderator, who I'll be introducing, is former NIME participant Angelina Gallego from the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. She did her undergraduate degree at Hampton University, where she received her BS in physics. She has done research with Brandeis University, studying MRSEC IRG1 membrane-based materials. We'll have to ask her about that later. And her current research topic at the University of Minnesota is interplanetary shocks brought on by solar activity. She's an outgoing, charismatic scientist who loves to share her understanding of science with others through outreach and research. Welcome, Angelina.
Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Angelina.
How are you today?
I'm good. I hope everybody's doing well.
Good. Well, Angelina, tell us a little bit, can you tell us a little about your participation in the NIME program?
Of course. So I was a part of the NIME program in 2017. I worked under Lori Wingate. She was my advisor at the time. And I was in New Mexico, in Socorro, New Mexico. So there we did a plethora of activities ranging from project management, engineering, and even some data analysis and science. So it was a really wonderful experience. And I was glad to be a part of it. We got a chance to, for engineering portion, build a radio Jove, which is basically a very small radio telescope, and build that from scratch and be able to take information and data and try to analyze that from something that we built on our own. And then our idea was to implement and bring that back into whatever environment that we came from. For me, I was going to create a hub in Hampton, and I created a hub at Hampton University where I was teaching other people how to do this type of engineering. So that's kind of what I've done in terms of the NIME program. For now, what I'm doing in graduate school, I'm working, of course, as I stated, in interplanetary shock waves, working in solar plasma physics, but I have a very deep love for astronomy, for radio astronomy, and just trying to understand more.
So you mentioned hubs and that you started one in Hampton. What exactly is a NIME hub?
So a NIME hub, there are several hubs. So a NIME hub is basically a place that whatever participant that was a part of the NIME program goes back to their institution. Typically, it's their institution, wherever they were. So if they were at the Square Kilometer Array, they would be doing something over there. If they were at another college institution, they'd be doing something over there, where they are engaging in the surrounding community and finding a way to bring the knowledge that we learned into that community. So for me, my particular hub was at Hampton University. There, I had the opportunity to work with high school students in teaching them how to build astronomical equipment, like little telescopes, teaching them how to solder, teaching them about radio astronomy and things like that after school, kind of like an after school program for high school students who are interested in astronomy. And through that, of course, the hub had actual paperwork that we had to figure out what we were going to do in the hub, have an entire, setup. So that's kind of what the hubs are, being able to bring those opportunities back into the communities that you're working in, depending on wherever you initially came from.
Now, I know the founder of the hub, Lori Wingate, used to be at National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and I think you're going to tell us a little bit about her and her role in starting the NINE group. Is that right?
Of course.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, I'll let you take it away, and we will come back with questions at the end of the session. So again, everyone, if you have any questions for our panelists or for Angelina, please post them in the Q&A section of Zoom. And to our Facebook followers, we will actually be monitoring the Facebook Live. And if you have questions, please go ahead and post them in Facebook, and we'll try to get them into the Q&A section of Zoom. All right, thank you, Angelina.
Of course. So we're going to actually have an image of Lori here. There's my old advisor. All right. So here we have Lori Wingate, and I have a message from her. So this message reads, this program's vision is to be a world leader in providing practical learning opportunities using project management and system engineering methods. These are skills not traditionally taught in science disciplines that have been demonstrated as highly effective for driving science and engineering to successful outcomes. And these skills can make a major impact in a participant's career as well. Participation in the NINE program involves a highly competitive process. It is open to anyone in the field of radio astronomy, for instance, scientists, engineers, technicians, and educators. The radio astronomy landscape around the world is quickly changing, with a number of countries showing a strong interest in further developing the human capacity and the skill sets that will be essential to build, innovate, and operate their own radio astronomy facilities. In 2018, MAPPP-9, the Multi-Wavelength Public Participation Program, was jointly envisioned by NINE and South African Radio Astronomy Observatory as a competitive 4-week training program to be held in South Africa. It was targeted to individuals working in science centers and outreach sectors. The goal of the MAPPP-9 was to teach the program management and systems engineering skills necessary for participants to methodically prepare high potential community engagement proposals and to effectively manage, approve pilot projects as awarded. Many exciting programs have been realized through both the NINE and the MAPPP-9, and individuals have benefited from the training as they continue in their careers. I hope you enjoy the stories that follow documenting the direct impact of these programs. Thank you. And that was the message from Lori Wingate. Thank you, Lori. All right. Next, I'd like to introduce to you, of course, the amazing curators and creators of our program that we're going to be talking about today, which is our wonderful rising star. So here I will be introducing Sally and Daniel, and we're going to talk a little bit about the NINE program, the making of the film, and after that, we're going to show a clip. So here, Sally and Daniel. First, I will talk about Sally. So Dr. Sally McFarlane is currently working as a postdoctoral fellow and part-time lecturer in the Department of Astronomy at the University of Cape Town. The prime purpose of her postdoc is to work with the IDIA Visualization Laboratory to explore the immersive visualization of scientific data with the digital dome environment, specifically using the IZCO Planetarium and Digital Dome in Cape Town. Sally is also the chair of the National Astronomy Education Coordinator Team for South Africa. As an energetic supporter of science engagement and the development of South Africa astrotourism, she works as a part-time planetarium presenter and educator. Let's give it up for Sally. Next, I'm going to talk about Daniel. Dr. Daniel Cunnama is the science engagement astronomer at the South African Astronomical Observatory. The South African Astronomical Observatory, SAAO for short, is the National Center for Optical and Infrared Astronomy in South Africa. Its prime function is to conduct fundamental research in astronomy and astrophysics. In his current role, Daniel is tasked with the promotion and communication of the world-class research happening at SAAO, and other astronomical institutions in the country, and has extensive experience in science engagement, performing regular television and radio interviews, as well as public talks at venues around the country. So this should be a breeze for him. His recent work has also equipped him with diverse range of skills involving management of technical projects, collaborating with colleagues around the world. So give it up for Daniel.
Thank you, Angelina. Nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you, Angelina.
Thank you, guys. So I have introduced you guys. Happy, so excited for us to be looking at this short clips of this film today. And so I'm going to ask you a few questions about the 9 program first. So how did this affect your trajectory in your career? And any of you guys can talk.
Okay, well, I'll start us off then. It's been such an amazing effect to the trajectory. Really, in our course, we had to identify the challenges, and really this, the way that our course was set out, it allowed us to discuss what was any issues that were happening with South African astronomy at the time. And then once we identified these challenges, we could really build our projects around it according to a very good structure. And because we had this very strong and a very strong structure, we were then able to build this project that we will be discussing now. And I've been able to build my career around that for the future. Really, hopefully you'll find out as well that this project is not just for the time being, it's got so much potential for the future. So it's really something I can build my future career around as well.
I think for me, it certainly kind of wasn't a leapfrog point for my career. I had just started off at the observatory doing science engagement and had sort of various projects on the go already. We celebrated our 200-year anniversary last year, and I was running a lot of that, those projects there. So this course, the MAP9 course, came at a really, really good time for me in terms of just cementing those project management tools and methods. It was a great opportunity to just sort of take some time off, focus on developing the skills and taking those forward into future projects. So it was a very exciting month for us and a lot of work, a lot of effort. But I think it's definitely driven both of our careers forward based on what we experienced and learned on the course, but then also the outcomes, which, as Sally said, we'll be discussing now. This film, and then all the subsequent projects which have already exploded out of it.
Thank you for that. So I know one of the results of this question is the film, but what has happened in your life as a direct result from this program?
Well, what was incredible is I got to actually visit a lot of the different astronomy facilities around South Africa, which I hadn't seen before. I hadn't seen Meerkat, I hadn't seen the future of SKA, and it was such an incredible sight to see, and also how astronomers around South Africa were interacting and doing research. For me, that really was an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a super opportunity to see all of the facilities. I mean, South Africa's got a diverse range of facilities around the country, all doing very different astronomy. But more than that, I think you mentioned right at the beginning, the people targeted for this MAP9 course were science communicators or people related to science communication. And it was a great opportunity for us to meet other science communicators and make connections with them, because those are lasting connections. The science communication field, and as with most fields really, is a hugely collaborative field. And particularly in South Africa, it's a sort of small, tight-knit community, growing every day. But having these sort of connections at other science centers, meeting those people, but also meeting some of the leaders in the field and the current people. We had the opportunity to speak to people who were employed at NRAO and various other institutes, stakeholder managers, and those sorts of people, who getting to know them on a face-to-face basis, which is something which is very rare these days, was really quite special. And I think that it's lasted for a long time. In my career, especially, it's just wonderful to be able to pick up the phone to these people. They know who I am and they know what I'm about. And that sort of a month of intensive introductions and getting to know people has really helped with the networking and working in this field.
Thank you for that. All right, my next question is, how would you promote the program to future participants?
Well, I'd say start applying all of the principles that you're about to learn, not just to projects that you do in your work, but also to all the projects that you do in your personal life as well. It really helps to create a structure that you can learn from.
Yeah, I think it's. I think it was great. It was definitely hard work, but these things are hard work, but they're worth it. I think that the skills you learn, as Sally said, are hugely transferable. Even if you're not employing the project management skills in their entirety as you would have in the course, it's just aspects of it that sort of respond to you and respond to particular projects. Just knowing how to put together a contract at the last minute and those sorts of things. Everything happens at the last minute. That's the first thing to learn about the world. That was something which we were under a lot of pressure on the course, and I think it's something which has certainly helped me going forward. Is that you really just got to push things out as fast as you can and make things happen if you want to get things happening.
Thank you. My next question is, what was your greatest achievement in the program?
Absolutely. Should we go straight into the trailer?
Yeah, so let's look at the greatest achievement.
So this is just a 30-second trailer, and then after that we'll show, so that's the sort of the trailer teaser, and then after that we'll just show the first minute or so of the film.
Humans have always looked up to the night sky and wondered at the repeating patterns of the celestial bodies. What are they? Where are they from? And what is their connection to us? To answer these questions, we created stories. A sand legend tells the story of the origins of our galaxy, the Milky Way. A young woman waits for the hunters to return at the end of the day. As it grows dark, she throws ash from the fire into the night sky. This becomes the Milky Way and guides the hunters safely home after dark.
Wow, that was absolutely gorgeous. I loved all of the images. CGI was on point.
I can tell you, I still get chills watching it.
So
Yeah,
tell
you
us a
should,
little
you
bit
should
about
see it on the dome.
Oh yeah, that I can't wait for it to come out on the dome. That sounds like absolutely amazing to see the Milky Way. So tell us a little bit about the film.
Go ahead, Dan.
Okay, so the idea with the film was because it was the first sort of its kind, a sort of full-length, full-dome film created here in South Africa about South African astronomy. We really tried to give an overview of what is happening in the country. So you will have seen the start where we introduced some of the indigenous star lore from the local Khoi and San indigenous peoples, and then
Difficulties. As we all know, in the world of Zoom, it can stop in a second. But we're back. Hello, thank you for coming back. Thank you for rejoining. And I will ask again the question and we'll continue from where we left off. So, Sally and Daniel, can you tell us about the film?
Yeah, where was I? I'll start again. So, you know, as you would have seen in the trailer, we started off with some indigenous Khoi and San star lore, stories of the night sky. And then because this was the first sort of full-dome film about South African astronomy, we really tried to walk through the past few centuries of astronomy in South Africa and Africa. You know, starting with the observatory SAO, which is 200 years old. We talked a little bit about how that came to be, the move up to Sutherland, where all of our telescopes are now. We talk about the site in Cape Town and why that's so special. You know, it's a national heritage site. And then we introduced the exciting sort of radio astronomy which is coming, and you know, Meerkat, SKA, and then some of the science that they will be doing. So we try and give an introduction to how we do astronomy, you know, how we observe, and the multi-wavelength astronomy. So, you know, in 22 minutes we try to cover a lot, but you know, for the public, it's essentially an introduction to astronomy, how astronomy works, and how we do it here in South Africa.
How did you guys pick the film topic? So it's a very interesting topic. So many of us want to know, what made you think about doing this?
I can handle this one. So despite all the wonderful achievements that we've had in South Africa, as far as we've got Meerkat, we've got the Southern African Large Telescope, and lots of the research. Despite this, the public remained generally unaware of what was happening, and indeed of the significance of these big facilities or of the research. I'm sure this is quite a common problem in astronomy. So one way to unite the public with astronomy is to look at using planetaria. And in South Africa, we're very lucky, very fortunate at the moment to have 3 digital dome planetaria, but unfortunately, we just didn't have any local content. So content whose material was based on local achievements. And in essence, that's where the idea came from. And well, you know what happened with the rest. That's how this was created.
Yeah, I think that we really wanted to. I mean, I think even early on, Sally and I realized that this wouldn't be the last film we make. we wanted to make sort of an introduction to astronomy in South Africa. From that, we can get into sort of more detailed aspects and sort of expand on various parts of the story. But really, as an introduction and the first sort of film about South African astronomy, we really felt like this was a good opportunity just to make the public aware of the astronomy landscape in South Africa, and from there we can sort of push the exciting little bits.
To almost create a sense of pride in what we're doing, much like, say, a sporting achievement, or so the same sort of pride, but for scientific achievements.
Thank you. So we have a few questions. So the first question is, do you envisage expanding the scope of Rising Star to include astronomy in Africa?
Yeah, for sure. So already in Rising Star, we do talk about the SKA, the Square Kilometre Array, which will be shared between South Africa and other African countries. So there'll be base stations across Africa, across the African continent, as well as telescopes in Australia. And that'll all be managed by the headquarters in Manchester. So already we've started talking about some of these sort of ways that the rest of Africa is getting involved. The next film we're doing, I don't know if we're allowed to announce it, but the next film we're doing will be focusing on Indigenous star law, and that will be sort of primarily Southern African for now, but we do have plans. We're working with the African Planetarium Association and the African Astronomical Society to try and incorporate stories from other parts of the continent, other things that are going on, because there is already a lot of exciting stuff happening across the continent.
Thank you. We also have another question. It says, what is 9 project, etc., and science communication is outreach ? So I believe this person's asking, can you guys elaborate on like the 9 program and what you guys did in your 9 program for South Africa? And then can you explain maybe the connection between science communication and outreach? Are those two the same things? Are they different?
Well, for our program, I mean, and Daniel mentioned this a little earlier, we had our specific course was called MAP 9. So we also went into a bit of multi-wavelength astronomy as well. But we spent 4 weeks moving around to different parts of facilities around the country. And then we also spent the 4 weeks building up projects that really outside of the box projects, actually, that address the challenges that we faced in communicating astronomy. So that's how after the 4 weeks, we presented these proposals, and then based on that, then we built up our projects eventually.
Yeah, I think in terms of the science communication versus outreach, there's generally these days I use the term science engagement, because we're trying to really engage with the public and with stakeholders and the community. We try to shy away from communicating our science in the sense that this is how it is, and we just delivering that. We really want people to engage with the science. We want people to be curious and interested and asking questions and giving feedback and really sort of engaging with us, how they understand it. And I think that some of the ways we're doing this is obviously by incorporating things like the diversity of culture we have here in South Africa, and trying to engage with people in a way that is familiar to them and comfortable for them, rather than sort of pushing Western culture on them, when that doesn't feel right. So, these are the sorts of things we can do with science engagement. I mean, our outreach is also, I guess, just another word that you can use, which kind of covers this sort of thing. I really do prefer the term science engagement because it's sort of much more holistic approach.
Thank you. So I have another question here for you, and it's more so about, do you guys maybe have like a virtual reality version of this? Are there plans to release this to a larger audience?
Yeah, so our film was actually created as a full 360-degree film. So it can be watched in the VR world. However, as you can imagine, 22 minutes of being in that VR world is quite intense. So what we're busy doing is creating a shorter version, which gives you a taste for what the film is, but suitable for watching within the VR, with a VR headset. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to watch the film in the VR headset, and it's a bit intense. You know, like it's very overwhelming being in that space. You're sort of flying over Sutherland, and you're completely disembodied. It's cool for a few minutes, but it really is it's hard to watch. So yeah, but in terms of the planetarium film and trying to get that out, we certainly want to get it out as far as possible, and we, you know, the VR is a good way to share it, at least in part. I see there's a question on the Q&A, where can we see Rising Star? So the Rising Star was playing for a few months at the Cape Town Planetarium. It's off now, but I think it'll probably be back on during the school holidays. It's also currently showing in South Africa at the Sutherland Planetarium, and will be showing soon at the Naval Hill Planetarium in Bloem. So it'll be at all the digital planetaria in South Africa. And then we are busy distributing it through the international planetarium networks. So it'll be freely available to all of the planetaria around the world.
We have another question from the audience. What project management skills or docs from the 9 program have you found most useful in your daily work?
Just today, the project proposal. Just sent that off today. So that's been an incredible help.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of that holistic view of what a project requires. The scheduling, the budgeting, making sure that you hit all those boxes, so that when you want to do something at home, you want to like fix a room or something, you think about all these things. I mean, for me, dealing with people on the phone has become a lot easier. I kind of like I have a better understanding of how projects work, and it's yeah, I think it is like incredibly useful in your day-to-day life, just thinking from a more project-based sense.
Yeah, and I can definitely agree with what you all are saying. As a scientist, being a part of the 9 program lets you kind of get to see the other side of things. As scientists, you're used to seeing numbers, data, really cool animations and simulations. But the 9 program allows you to see the other side of that, the paperwork, what goes into doing a project. How do we figure out how long the project is supposed to last? How do we know if we're going to have to pour a lot more money into this because maybe it's not going to work in the time frame that we think? And being able to write these proposals, being able to, document all of these different things properly, I think that is such a useful aspect, that project management aspect, because scientists don't think about things like that. We think about when we're going to get our next time on the telescope. So I think that is one of for me as well, is like one of my favorite parts. Now I'm really good at being able to look and configure my way through those things.
Having that good structure at the beginning really helped us when we had to adapt later on. And as you can imagine, with pandemics and other issues, everything was delayed somewhat. So we had to make sure that we could adapt. And by having all the documentation in place, it was much easier to use that going forward.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Do we have any more questions about the 9 program? if we didn't catch what 9 stood for, 9 stands for the National and International Non-Traditional Exchange Program. So if we didn't catch that at the beginning, that's what 9 stands for. I know it's a mouthful, but we love it. We love it.
There's one more question, Angelina, about what aspect of the filmmaking process did you enjoy most? Yeah, and this is to Sally and Daniel.
not the proposal writing and not the budgeting. No, I mean, like the whole filmmaking process was, so it was the first time for us, which was just really exciting in sort of every aspect of it. Seeing those first shots in 360 was just mind-blowing. Getting the night sky time lapses and starting to see all of this and in full 360, it really just transports you just to a different place. And that's obviously something we try to relay in the film. But yeah, the experience of having that, and then Angelina, you commented on the animation and the CGI, like that was pretty cool, because you could really say, no, I want this slightly differently. And the animation of the people at the beginning, which you just saw, like we had a lot of back and forth about that, arguing about how I wanted it to look. I was like, it doesn't quite look like I want it to look. And having that sort of creative input was really exciting, and then seeing it come to life at the end, your sort of vision on the screen was fantastic.
I love
I have to absolutely agree with Daniel there. I mean, my absolute, and I can almost remember the exact moment that this happened, when it wasn't even when we played it for the VIPs. It was when I played it first for an unsuspecting public audience who really didn't have any idea. They'd just seen, local content, let's go and watch it. And then just playing it for them was just such a wonderful moment for me, because then I just really, that was the culmination of this multi-year project, just right from when we first addressed the challenges right to that moment where, okay, now this is, we can't stop now. We've just got to keep going. We've got to make more content. So that was amazing.
Wow. All right, we have another question. Great. Do you have any plans to transfer your skills or best practices learned to astronomers or science communicators in Africa through the African Astronomical Society?
Absolutely. So currently, with our sort of current project, the next planetarium film, we are actually partially sponsored by the African Astronomical Society. So we're working very closely with them. And that is what we spent the last 3 days writing up contracts for. So, we're working very closely with the African Astronomical Society. They've set up the African Planetarium Association, who will be assisting us in the distribution of the film once it's been completed. So, we're already working very closely with them. And various other people who are interested in planetarium films are already sitting on those panels. So certainly we're trying to incorporate sort of all the interested parties in this aspect, at least, of science communication.
Next question is, what is the subject matter of the next film?
Sally?
So we're going to, this is just, I guess,
don't give too much away.
No, but I'll just say Kalahari night skies. And a little bit of Star-Lord.
Yeah, so we're focusing on Star-Lord, and just sort of like really getting people to appreciate the natural night sky.
We have another question in the Q&A. We have lots of questions. Thank you, guys. Will the film be compatible with mobile planetaria?
So we've actually just a month ago or so, we tested it on a mobile planetarium. There's a few changes that we need to make, but that is one of our goals, that it is available for mobile planetaria in order to expand the reach. Really, one of the goals of this whole project was to make it globally accessible. So that's multiple languages, multiple venues, planetary venues.
Thank you. Any more questions from the audience? What is the film's running time in minutes?
It's 22 minutes. So that's kind of standard length for a sort of planetarium film. Is it 24, Sally? Sally will know
It's
exactly.
24, but no, 22, if you don't include the credit.
Okay. Sally handles all the technical details. I mean, the other thing that in terms of the mobile planetarium, which I thought I should mention, is there's a very exciting project in Kenya, the Bamboo Planetarium. We've spoken a little bit about it. We interviewed them for the podcast I run, and Susan is actually on the African Planetarium Association. So I'm very excited to see the film in a bamboo planetarium.
Oh no, that's one of our next goals. And I mean, I just have to say, sorry, before we go on, this project could not have been done, of course, without Daniel. Then that's great, but also without our film creators, film producers, VR capture. So Thomas Rice and his team were such an incredible team to have. And actually, you might ask what our challenges were. And one of the challenges was filming this during a pandemic. And really, VR capture was there, filming in Sutherland under lockdown, but I'm very safe, COVID friendly, very COVID safe. And it's just incredible that through all of this, we were only delayed by about a month. So I just like to mention that he did an incredible job.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, I think that, it was an incredible, yeah, thank you. It was an incredibly challenging project, and a lot to learn for all of us. I mean, none of us had done it before. And the learning curve to film something for the Dome was quite big, but yeah, I mean, we're very proud of what we've achieved.
Thank you. We have another question. It says, how does filming equipment for the planetaria differ from ordinary filming?
Well, with the planetaria, the standards now are 4K resolution and above. So you really have to have cameras that are adapted to suit the ultra high resolution that we need to. If you go to really modern planetaria now, we're talking about 8K, even 10K now. Another thing is it has to be filmed with either a fisheye lens or 360 is what we did basically. So including that, we have to film at a slight angle, which makes everything a little bit interesting. Because if you imagine when you're in a planetarium, you have to look up just at a slight angle, because it's more comfortable that way. So these are some of the things that we had to become familiar with, the techniques and skills that we had to get used to, and then hopefully we'll pass on to others so that we can just create lots and lots of content.
Yeah, we should point out that the next film we're doing, we're really involving as many of the sort of local artists and communities as we can. We've made a big effort to include them and musicians and voiceovers and all of that. We're trying to source locally and really try and get people experienced in making films and celebrating their stories and their culture and sharing it. So I think that there's certainly a lot of lessons to be learned in filming, but in terms of sort of making films too is a whole process which was very interesting, and we were very limited in terms of filming any humans or interacting with any humans in this film because of COVID. So we couldn't have actors. We sort of animated the people at the beginning, but in this next film, with sort of safe procedures in place, we really want to incorporate some more human stories.
Awesome, thank you. We have a question from the Q&A. It says, would there be any way of converting to a flat screen?
That's a very, very good question.
You just saw 1.5 minutes on flat screen. It is possible. It's not quite the same though. I mean, you really lose a lot.
We're definitely looking into
yeah,
it.
I mean,
yeah, so one of the one issue is that we can't directly translate it because so much happens around you. It's so much more immersive, the dome or VR versions. So to translate it, there's also long scenes where we're just looking at the stars crossing, which when you watch on a 2D screen doesn't quite translate. So it has to be edited. But we are looking at ways, because as I said earlier, we want to expand this reach as far as possible. And making a 2D version is definitely what we're thinking of.
All right, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Daniel. Would you like to?
No,
Okay.
I was gonna add to that and then mention the Q&A question, which is an accessibility. I'm not sure if that was related to the 2D version, but in terms of accessibility, with the next film, you know, having learned the lessons we've learned and trying to make the film more accessible, we're investigating subtitles now on the next version. So trying to get subtitles on a planetarium is going to be a challenge in itself. I mean, you've got to get them the right size. You've got to make sure that they're positioned correctly so that you can read and still sort of see the dome. Because, you know, if you haven't seen a film like this in a full dome, it is, as Sally says, incredibly immersive. And you can watch the film in 2D, but until you are in a dome and there's a full Milky Way streaking across the sky behind you, you don't really see the magic. And yeah, I think that it's something we're pushing on, trying to make it more accessible. But really the power of the dome is not to be underestimated.
All right, thank you for that. And we have time for one more question. Here's the question. Is there a plan by science engagement professionals in SA to increase the number of mobile planetaria in the country to reach rural populations?
I can probably answer that. So the SAO has a mobile planetarium, and various science centers do. It is something which we are looking at improving on. Obviously, currently putting people in a sealed bubble for any length of time is not a great selling point. So all of our activities at SAO have been thwarted in terms of the mobile planetarium recently. But certainly the Sutherland Planetarium, which has been built very recently, is a quite small planetarium. It's only a 30-seater planetarium, and it's a very exciting concept. And I think that we could definitely look at rolling out those sorts of smaller, cheaper planetaria, more sort of in more places, perhaps in Carnarvon, where the Meerkat telescope is, and SKA will be. And then, yeah, I think now that we have this content, and as we get more local content, I think that there will definitely be more motivation for funding agencies to support mobile planetaria, because it's been very hard to motivate for when we're just showing films from Paranal, for example. You know, I mean, Paranal is beautiful, but it doesn't have any relation to somebody in the rural country.
All right, thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much, Sally. You guys were awesome, amazing, and you answered the questions wonderfully. Thank you so much for the participation. All right, so we're going to be wrapping things up. Nam will be popping back in here and give us some announcements.
Thanks everyone for joining us today. And Angelina, Daniel, and Sally, we really appreciate the coordination of this, trying to do Zoom events from Minnesota to South Africa to Charlottesville. So thank you so much for just being so gracious about the glitches and talking about this amazing film and this wonderful program. We hope to have you back, Sally and Daniel, when you release your next film. And thank you, everyone. We have a few more events coming up in the next few weeks. Black Hole Week is April 12th through 16th, and we'll be doing an interview with one of our scientists at the Very Large Array in New Mexico and at NASA's Fermi Space Telescope. So look for that on our social media platforms. Look for information about that on our social media platforms. Our STEAMED group will be doing their monthly virtual tour at the end of this month, highlighting our Central Development Lab, which basically is the technology arm of the NRAO. So look for that again on our social media platforms, information on our social media platforms. And thanks everyone for joining us. We had a great time. So have a good day and night, I should say.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.